Entertainment lawyer, Heather O'Rourke was killed by Hollywood pedophile ring. Date, December 14, 2017. Author, NWO Report. A prominent Hollywood entertainment lawyer claims that Poltergeist child star Heather O'Rourke was raped and murdered by Hollywood executives. Heather played the character Carol Anna Freeling in all three of Steven Spielberg's Poltergeist films. She died in 1988 at the age of 12 from intestinal stenosis, a severe bowel obstruction. In an interview with Hollywood gossip website Crazy Days and Nights, an entertainment lawyer claims that Heather was anally raped on the set of a TV show called Rocky Road, which led to her untimely death. HumansAreFree.com reports, back in the mid-80s was peak child molesting time in Hollywood. There was no internet. There were very few mobile phones. Children came to the set where they were left alone by their parents. For the next 8 hours they were subject to every kind of horrible thing you can imagine. Drugs were commonplace. They were used to try and get the kids to not be so hysterical when being assaulted. Producers loved casting shows with kids and tweens. If someone pitched a show that involved a handful of tweens with a dozen tween extras per week, it would get a green light. Even if the show was going to suck, and everyone knew it was going to suck, if you got the right pedo at a studio he would say yes just to come for the casting and taping of the pilot. As sad as it is to say, there were a lot of parents who told their kids to go off with the nice man in the suit and do what he says. It was a sick time. It was just past the mid-80s when a producer came up with the idea of a tween show that not only would feature a rotating cast of extras, but would make the studio a bunch of money because they would film quickly and not hire any adults. Further, the faster they filmed, the more time they would have to molest all the kids that would be hanging around. From the first day, it was the worst place on earth if you were a kid. The studio where the show was filmed also had several other shows being filmed there, most of which featured lots of children. Executives would drive over to Hollywood right before lunch and would stay at the studio for several hours each day. Anyway, on this particular show, there was a special guest star. A very special guest star. Still not a tween, everyone knew who she was. Executives flocked to the studio that day to see her. She was first molested when she was 5 or 6 and had continued to be molested throughout her hit movies and also on a previous show. One of the stars of the show, who has spent her life bouncing in and out of rehab because of what she saw, and who was actually nominated for awards from the show, described the atmosphere that day. A bunch of fucking pigs. I had just turned 12 or 13. I was the same age as the actress coming in. Maybe a little older. We had been shooting for months and I was old news. They knew I would do what they wanted, but they always wanted someone new. This was someone new and someone they all knew. They had it set up like a peep show almost. She had finished shooting that morning and they brought her out on a stage. The stage was used most of the time for a game show that was taped there. That game show is still on today. I can't watch it knowing what happened to her there. They brought her out and the front 4 rows of this theater were filled with guys who were already rubbing themselves. The girl was wearing a bikini. The show took place around a beach just so they could make these girls wear next to nothing. They had her walk around under the lights. The lights were focused on her and she couldn't really see out to the audience. She was squinting. It must have been blinding for her. They had her walk back and forth. Then they had her start dancing. All of these guys were doing what another star at that same studio got busted for. This went on for about 20 minutes. Then 3 of the guys took her to a different area of the studio. The actress didn't see what happened, but about 45 minutes later, one of those 3 guys came running out and needed a set medic. Apparently they had inserted something inside the girl and things were bad. The medic came and the ambulance came. The parents of the girl were told some crap story. That crap story ended up killing the girl because the parents believed the executives. 2 weeks later, the show finished shooting 6 episodes all at once and then everyone was sent on their way forever. No one wanted the kids around or any witnesses to what happened. The comments section of this blind item went wild, as did 4chanandvoat.com/Pizzagate. Let's break this down as to why people think this was referring to Heather O'Rourke. Heather was acting in the 80s and she was not yet a tween, had hit films and television appearances. This matches. Entertainment lawyer claims this girl was first molested at 5 or 6. Heather was discovered by Steven Spielberg and had her first acting role at the age of 5 in a show called Fantasy Island. This matches. The exact television show set that these events occurred on cannot be verified 100%, but the clues seem to lead to Rocky Road as it was filmed in the same studio as Jeopardy, which is still running today, and Pee Wee Herman, who is alluded to for being busted masturbating in a theater. This matches, or at least makes sense. A medic needed to be called because something had been instilled into the girl which ended up eventually killing her. This could match as Heather died of bowel problems. The fact that this poor girl died at such a young age is already heartbreaking, but if there is any credibility to these claims, it seems at least possible that some foul play was involved in her death. The claims made by Corey Feldman and Corey Haim and countless others about pedophiles being rife in Hollywood match up so well with all the gossip and whispers that are floating around they are becoming hard to ignore. Some have even speculated that Steven Spielberg could be implicated. As mentioned already, he discovered her and has worked with countless child actors over the years, including Corey Feldman and Drew Barrymore, who has assorted Hollywood youth. There have also been wild speculations and accusations aimed at Charlie Sheen. In his divorce proceedings, his now ex-wife claimed that she caught him looking at porn of underage children. I am on the fence about all of this. The evidence seems to be getting stronger every day that something organized and nefarious is afoot in Hollywood. I can understand why victims would be afraid to come forward, but I hope for the sake of those currently suffering abuse in the industry that more and more people will start coming forward so these scumbags can be thrown in jail to rot. Thank you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.